Office Hours. Again, I am Steve Drost. With me, as always, is Will Kaplan. Both of us, of course, from the Quivr CRM team, which is built by financial advisors for financial advisors, where our objective is simple. How can we help you run your business at peak efficiency? Each episode of Office Hours, we tackle a couple of cool items that came directly from our users who are simply trying to make their life just a little bit easier. Will, you had one. I was in a breakout room again, which I was bragging last time that I had breakout rooms figured out, and then I messed them up, but we figured it out eventually. But when I came back, you had with one user, they have an interesting fee schedule. I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know what I'm talking about, but tell me what happened, what was the solution, and how did all that play out?
Yeah, Steve. So in this particular case, and this isn't, I mean, this is not uncommon. This happens kind of all over Quiver. And I think it's one of those things where, to get kind of like high level, let me talk about a little bit. Essentially, what we're finding is, and fee schedule is a great place to really understand the concept here. Everybody runs their business a little bit differently, right? Like the way that I calculate my fee schedule is probably a little bit different than the way that you calculate your fee schedule. And, I see this topic come up in forums and places all the time about like, I'm using something really unique. What does everybody think?
But of
And
course, right,
so
everybody gets to about the same fee anyways. That's my favorite part.
you're right. Like we all have to end up at exactly the same spot, but we all choose different, the algorithm's a little bit different. Yeah, exactly. And so Quiver in this case is really designed to kind of just give you an approximation. We're not trying to do something where you're going to run your billing out of this necessarily. You could, if you modified it a significant amount to really make it, more appropriate for that. Really what we're trying to give you is just kind of a quick, here's some business intelligence. What's going on with my business? Can I do some forecasting? Can I do some projections? And can I keep my eye on kind of where is revenue? What's going on? So, our system is relatively simple. We haven't spent a lot of time building it out, mostly functional for, I would say, probably, 95, 99% of our users. And this is a situation where somebody had a fee schedule that just operates a little bit differently. So in this case, what they were doing is they basically set a minimum fee for anything under $1 million. So, I have $500,000 of AUM. My minimum fee is going to be 10 grand. I have 750,000, minimum fee is 10 grand. There's no real way to accommodate that with the way that our fee schedule is built out. So
Yeah, because
after thinking,
just to make sure everybody fully understands, right now how our fee schedule works is there's three components, right? Anything that is in the assets and liabilities module, which is where data from Schwab or Orion, Black Diamond, etc., would flow in, where Quiver's capturing that, then you can apply an AUM fee schedule to it. So the first million, charge this percentage, the next million, charge this percentage, flat fee, you can incorporate for that. So AUM is pretty good. It allows you to do most traditional AUM fee schedules. Then you get a spot for retainers. So if you're a monthly retainer advisor or you do a combination of AUM and retainer, you can build that in. How much do they pay? And then also the frequency. And we give you a ton of frequency options. And then the calculator will take those two and add them together. So in this case, let's say that person had $1 million at 1%, that's 10 grand. But then they also paid $500 a month. Another 6 grand, it'll calculate that and say you're getting 16,000 of revenue. But then we understand that some people are more unique than the standard way of doing things. So we give you a revenue adjuster figure that you can put whatever amount you want in, and it will update that accordingly. So me personally, I use that with one client who has about $1 million of Amazon stock. We don't bill on it. So I know $1 million of Amazon stock isn't getting applied to his fee schedule. So let's say I charged him 1%, that's 10 grand. I put a negative 10,000 in that revenue adjuster. So I'm able to exclude it. Just like you alluded to, I'm not billing out of Quivr, but I'm going to be within a few $100s of my actual revenue. So I can run KPIs and projections, etc. Okay, so now keep going.
and Steve, that's a great example. I mean, like the neat thing about that revenue adjuster field is it doesn't matter if maybe you've said to that person, like, we're going to discount your fee for the first year, or, we're going to give you some type of a special deal because it's negotiated. Like it basically allows you to take whatever gets calculated by the AUM schedule and the retainer schedule, and then you adjust it. And so that's kind of what jumped out at me in this case is, this user could build a fee schedule where from, $0 up to $1 million, they use a traditional AUM schedule, but they charge zero. And so you're getting like a hole in that first chunk of their fee schedule. So 0 to $1 million, nothing is charged. And then $1 million plus, you follow the normal fee schedule for that particular firm. Maybe it's 75 bips or whatever it might be, a step down maybe from the regular schedule. And so the fee schedule is going to work like normal, except you have to make up for that like those clients that are under the value by putting in that revenue adjuster sort of on the outside of the schedule. And so you're going to get, the AUM calculation going to be off by 10 grand. Then you're going to get, if they have a retainer, you could add that in as well. In this case, they didn't. But then you're going to be able to hit that kind of that plug field of revenue adjustment and say, okay, there needs to be 10,000. So what's going to end up happening in this case is for any client that's under $1 million, they're going to get nothing calculated by AUM. Like that field's going to be zero in terms of total AUM revenue. But then the revenue adjuster is going to kick in and bring it up to 10,000. And so anyway, and then again, anybody that's over, it's going to work just like normal because the max value of that $1 million is going to be 10,000. So it's going to grab that, add on the rest of the schedule. So, you get a little bit of a display issue where those, maybe you were expecting those fields to work a little bit differently. But in terms of being able to look at like total revenue and run a report to get a sense for where your firm is and how it's growing and things of that nature, you still got really, accurate data. It's just that you're making a weird fee schedule.
The output is going to be accurate. Now, one thing I could see is, let's say you're like, well, I don't want this retainer to be out on its island. I want it to be part of, or not retainer, the adjuster to be out on an island. I want it to be part of AUM. But you can just build a custom field that sums those two together. And for example, my firm, Drost Financial, I could just call it, DF real AUM, and it's just the sum of those two. Every other thing is going to work exactly like I want it to, and I would just display that field in my dashboards, KPI reports, etc.
And I think that's one of the real benefits of using a system that's built on Salesforce is, where some of these other CRMs have limitations on where you can put custom fields and sort of how you use them. Salesforce really opens this whole thing up. And so if you wanted to completely rebuild our, fee schedule object and put in a bunch of custom stuff that really just speaks to your firm, that is absolutely, if that's something that's important to you and you want to spend the time working on it, yeah, fantastic. You can go to the community, you can learn how to add custom fields, you can go and learn how to customize page layouts. We helped another user with page layouts this week as well in office hours where they just couldn't quite figure out, I don't understand why it's not saving, and separate video, right? But that's the beauty of this system is if, we're trying to get you something that is absolutely functional, but there's going to be things where, you want that truly custom tailored. I want this perfect for my firm. Fantastic. Jump in, add some custom fields, change your page layouts. I mean, in this case, that revenue adjuster sits outside of the AUM calculation or the retainer calculation. But if you wanted to bring it back inside, you absolutely could, sort of rebuild how our tool works and then just add your own custom fields. They can be labeled the exact same thing. Like you can, to your point about that total AUM revenue, fields can be named exactly the same thing based on how Quivr works because there's an underlying hidden field there that changes the name. And so like a lot of it just depends on what's really important to you and where where you need to spend time and energy to make this perfect, or is it good enough the way that Quivr's doing it? And, I'm going to go work on.
Well, you're getting the exact outcome that is needed. The question though is, how is it displayed? Is that meeting your desired outcomes?
Well, and this is a great example where I've seen users' environments where they've really taken off with this idea and they've built a lot of really cool custom stuff. And I think that's what makes Quivr so powerful is that it can work exactly the way that you want it to work. We build a product that's sort of, mass adoption that lots of advisors could use and is going to be, very functional for their environment. But if there are these types of like unique use cases where it's like, yeah, like I'm close, I'm like 80% there, 90% there, but I really need to do this other thing. You have the ability to do that. Like that's the power of Salesforce and the platform is that you can either jump into like, extra fields and customizations and page layouts can look differently. You can get into, something like the flows, a no code environment where you're trying to do some, special things that we just don't do because it's not, either we haven't gotten to it.
We can't build a product that does every single thing that everybody needs it to do. But no, Will, we got to wrap this one up. Good stuff as always. Remember, if you are a Quivr user, get to office hours like this user did. Usually we have a solution for you pretty quickly, right? We understand the system pretty well, I would say. So show up to office hours where we can help you with stuff as well. If you're not a Quivr user, that's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. But no worries. Go ahead, schedule a demo, come meet us, come learn why people are enjoying our platform.